Hi, third graders. Mrs. Peters here, and I want us to kind of get our heads geared back into working on our persuasive speech. So, this is a little bit of a review of a mini lesson that I shared with you over a week ago, which means it's a good time to review. So, of course, in this process, we have started writing body paragraphs. We have chosen our topics, we made our claims, we have our reasons, and then we started drafting paragraphs. And so we worked on being able to say enough to really get the reader's attention. So in this case, I think this is a paragraph about Mrs. Peters' second reason that there are many instruments to choose from. There are big and small instruments, and there are some instruments that don't cost very much money. But we have to think, wait, what else can we say, right? And so we've talked about some strategies that we can use to say more, like talking to your listener. You might think you don't have enough room or money to buy a musical instrument, but Mrs. Peters added some examples to her work. And I finished my paragraph by asking the reader to take some kind of action. So those paragraphs should be done. You should have 3 body paragraphs written in your writing journal. If you don't, you do need to go back and you need to get these done. And you can watch some of the other videos. I'll try and group them for you. But you can see Mrs. Peters has her reason 1 paragraph, her reason 2 paragraph, and a reason 3 paragraph. And there's some evidence that I went in and I added more to make my paragraphs more interesting. So now we want to spend a little bit of time, and I think partially because it's an important thing and partially because it will get us back into our work, on an editing checklist. So we worked on this in class today, and it's really all about making our writing more readable. So I want you to know that if you want others to read your work and take you seriously, proofreading, well, is essential. And proofreading is simply that idea that you go back and you look for editing fixes. And I'll show you our checklist in just a minute. Now, if we were in school, we would work with a partner because it's sometimes easier for somebody else to read your work and find those errors. So I'm hoping you might be able to find a family member that can partner with you. So we want to think about a checklist. So we've been working really hard on our drafts and revisions, but before we move on, we need to remember to take a look at an editing checklist. So here it is. Let's look at this together. There are 5 items, and there's really 3 that we want to pay very close attention to. So the first one, I have ending punctuation for every sentence. So for each of the things on this checklist, you are going to go through and proofread. You're going to read your body paragraphs and see if you have these. So that's the first thing you're going to look for. Then you're going to reread them again, and this time you're going to look for, have you capitalized the first word in every sentence, proper nouns, which are names of things like people and months and holidays, and important words and titles. So that's your second read through. Then the third one is I've made paragraphs to organize my writing. Well, we have done that. We're working on building our persuasive speech using paragraphs. The fourth thing is I have checked for and corrected spelling errors. Now, that's a little trickier to do at home without a spelling resource, but maybe again you can find an adult to help you or use a computer resource. And then if you have quotes, it says I've used quotation marks and commas to show when someone is speaking. And we likely don't have a lot of quotations in this particular work. So as you reread and look for these things, it is a read through. So you're going to end up reading your work multiple times. Now, the next step in this process, you can see in the middle, Mrs. Peters' 3 body paragraphs. But our next thing is we're going to sandwich those body paragraphs in between an introduction and a conclusion. So that's going to give us 5 paragraphs in this speech. And we're going to start by writing our introduction this week. And we are learning to write a strong introduction that grabs the attention of the reader, or listener in this case, and gives them a preview of what they will be reading or hearing about. So to start, we need to write our thesis statement. And a thesis statement is a sentence that includes our claim and our reasons. And we can think of it as a preview. Like, this is what I believe is true and what I'm going to tell you more about. So here's Mrs. Peters' thesis statement. And notice on my journal, and I'll talk to you about this in class, I put the date. I always want to date when I work. And then I skipped some lines. And to be honest, I probably didn't skip enough. It's going to be hard for me to fit my hook in there, but I want you to skip some lines so you have some space to write a hook later that's really going to grab your reader's attention. But today it's really about that thesis statement. So I want you to write, if you haven't yet, my thesis statement. I want you to know that's what it is. I put in parentheses preview because that's what a thesis statement is. Now you'll notice that Mrs. Peters started by writing my claim. I think everyone should learn to play a musical instrument. You'll also notice that I used that really important word, because I'm going to tell you why I think that's true. And then this gets to be a long, complex sentence. I wrote each one of my 3 reasons, not with detail, but I stated what they are. So I think everyone should learn to play a musical instrument because, 1, it is something you don't need help with, comma, there are many instruments to choose from, comma, and it can help you do better at school. So that's what my reader can be prepared to hear about in my speech. So we're learning to write a strong introduction that grabs the attention of the reader or listener and gives them a preview of what they will be reading or hearing about. Please have your thesis statement done before Zoom class on Tuesday. If you need some help getting your body paragraphs done, please reach out to me so we can get that taken care of as well. All right, thanks for listening, and I will see you soon.